Hey guys, happy Tuesday. It is a really nice night today. I didn't really have a lot of time to meditate during the day, so when I got home, I decided to just meditate in bed. And while I was meditating and looking up at my galaxy lights, I decided to make a video just about meditation, and we'll get into different sorts of meditation, shamanic journeying, and you know things that I've done in moon circles and things I've heard online as well in a different episode. But I think today I just wanted to talk about what has worked for me in the past and what hasn't worked for me, and how I know the difference of when it's working and when it's not working. So when I started doing meditation, and it's not been very long for me actually. I am relatively new to meditation, and probably when a lot of you started meditating was right around when it became a little bit more mainstream. And the Headspace app is, it's done wonders to mainstream meditation, and it has over 11 million downloads, and it's valued at $250 million now, and it's a pretty big empire, and it makes it really easy. I mean, it teaches people the basics of meditation and it takes the pressure off meditation, and I think that really is great because that gives some people a good practice that they can get into a rhythm of, and some people just need practice. Some people need very easy steps and guidelines to get into a habit or a ritual. And that is great. But for me, I was never able to really get into that practice. It still felt like a chore for me. It felt almost the same as a workout, or someone was like, you have to ride your bike, for 12 minutes a day. I'd be like, all right, cool. Okay. But I couldn't get into it because I think it was too cerebral for me, actually. Headspace. The thought of breathing and just allowing myself to in and out breathe wasn't enough for me to really get into what it was I was doing. So it wasn't really until, I guess the first time I felt like I was under hypnosis was the first time I realized that maybe this is what meditation should feel like. And I remember always thinking, well, I've always wanted to do a past life regression because Brian Weiss has been really important to me in the beginning parts of my spiritual journey, and Many Lives, Many Masters was the entry point for me in a lot of things that I hold to be true, and reincarnation is one of them. And I finally got the opportunity to go I didn't meet Brian Weiss, but to go see him live at the Javits Center, and this is through the Hay House. I think it was 2014. And I remember going under and hoping to see something. All I wanted to do was see a past life, or feel like I knew something. But that was kind of the first time where I was just given permission to let whatever imagination things happened to happen. And I remember, as we're breathing and going under and imagining walking down steps and stuff, I could feel my body falling asleep. I could feel my body falling asleep, but not my mind. My mind was kind of still awake, still able to have images. It wasn't so far into REM sleep where I'm having a straight up dream and I've left the room. Now, I knew I was in the room and I'm getting images in my head, but my mind is still conscious and present, but my body is starting to feel numb, heavy, and super, super tired. To the point where I could feel my neck kind of inching downward, and we were sitting in really uncomfortable seats, so I could actually feel myself getting very uncomfortable, which sort of took me out of it. But I was kind of bummed. I was bummed after that first experience because I didn't really, I didn't get a sense that I had an experience, like a memory, you know? And that's when it dawned on me, and it dawned on me a little bit later, that there is really no difference between a memory and your imagination. Because when you think about your life, like, even if you go back yesterday and something that happened very recently, and you try to conjure up what that experience was in your mind, could you really replay it exactly as it is? No, probably not. I mean, you might have some really standout moments that either affected you emotionally or, you know, could have been an angry situation, or, you know, usually some things stand out a little bit more prevalent in your head, but the whole thing is kind of fuzzy, and it's almost the same as remembering a dream. So the logic holds to stay that maybe whatever we do see in our minds was an actual experience of some sort on some other plane of existence that we just don't know about. And why our brains choose to create pictures in our minds, I'm not sure, but I have an inclination that whatever's happening on the inside world is just as important as what's happening on the outside world. Because just like the way we make sense of our surroundings around us, you know, and we put pieces together and we can take cues from our environment and make judgment calls based on that, you know, we can also take cues from our internal environment and the images that we're seeing and take cues from that. And so that's why I think, you know, past life regression is a really great form of therapy. Even if it isn't necessarily your true past lives, you are sort of getting in touch with an experience on the inside world that is indicative and ultimately pointing towards something for you to handle with your outside life. So, that was a long side note. How that applies to meditation is the same exact way. And so during meditation, it's really important, I think, that before meditation, and maybe I haven't really even started doing it, but it occurred to me, every meditation you should set an intention before. I think any sort of healing practice, you should always set an intention before, like yoga and, you know, cooking, whatever you're doing to keep your mind sort of clear and occupied with relaxing routine. You should always decide what it's for. And the more you do it, the more you can be attuned to certain cues of answers that you might get during meditation. And some of it could come in the form of visual. Some of it can come in the form of just an understanding or knowing. Some of it could be like vibrations in the body. Sometimes you won't get images at all. Sometimes you'll hear sounds or noises or pitches. And sometimes you'll just get an emotion or a feeling in one of, or potentially a buzz in certain areas of your body. Like there are some times when I'm meditating and like my heart chakra will just start vibrating really heavy, or my throat will activate. And those are all different cues to you. So the more you meditate and the more you sort of understand those cues and understand what it in your internal world is indicating information for you about your outside world, the more you'll get better at understanding more about yourself. So yeah, I think I want to end my video there. I do want to talk about, you know, journeying and all different ways to meditate. Like today, just before this video, I like to do grounding meditations. I like to imagine, and I also often envision my chakras. I like to imagine myself in a place in nature. And there will be many episodes on shamanic journeying and how that's really changed how I think about meditation and healing and all of this inner gaze that we need to develop in order to understand ourselves. I like to imagine myself rooting down into earth. Imagine myself sitting in a place in nature that's sacred and beautiful. And I like to imagine extending a root down into earth and allowing light sort of to travel up from earth into my chakras. And I imagine the light sort of illuminating each part of my chakras and extending to my heart. And then I like to imagine basically light of any color coming down from the heavens in through my crown chakra and illuminating downward into my heart. So I like to almost pretend, like, root completely through the heart chakra to the earth and to the heavens, as if I'm sort of this channel or gateway between what supports me above and what supports me below. And then you might feel something. Then you might feel something a little bit different. You might feel that heaviness. You might feel a little bit more supported and grounded. You might feel kind of like tuned in, like an antenna. Like, ooh, I'm tuned in now. Bring it on, baby. We're gonna find out some info, or not. Sometimes I've passed out. So that's all for today. I think wanted to talk about it because, you know, everyone's different. Everyone has very, very different gifts of understanding about themselves. So if you're the type of person who loves to just count the breath and is methodical about it, and that really gives you results, and that's awesome. If you're the type of person who meditates and sees no visuals and thinks it's not working for them, well, then tune into other parts of your body, because there might be something else, a knowing inside, that is just automatic and it doesn't necessarily give you visuals. It could be auditory, and again, it could be a vibrational thing that you're not plugged into because you're looking for the visuals. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I love you, and have a wonderful night. Okay, bye.